I think it's safe to say that Trae Young has been disappointing to start this season. The Hawks are just one game over 500. They were expected to compete in the East with the addition of DeJounte Murray in the offseason, but the Hawks haven't been good, and Trae Young is a big reason for that because his play dictates how good this Hawks team is for the most part. Now, funny enough, they've won 2 games without him this season. Those 2 games being against the Bucks and the Nuggets, where Jokic and Giannis played in both of those games. Now, I do have some positive takeaways, as hard as that may seem to believe, given how bad Trae Young has been this season. On the surface, his numbers are fine, 27.2 points per game and 9.5 assists per game, which is still insane because that's something only Oscar Robertson, Nate Archibald, James Harden, LeBron James, and Trae Young himself have accomplished in a single season. And he's still getting to the line a lot, averaging 8.3 attempts per game from the line. And for the most part, during games where he's having a bad shooting night, which has been a lot of games, he's still getting to the line a lot, which is a sign you look for in any high-level player, especially one with as high of usage as Trae Young. We're not shooting well, they're at least getting to the line and drawing that rim pressure. His foul drawing is actually keeping his true shooting percentage at around 54%, which is a number that would be much lower if he wasn't getting to the line at a good rate. And his passing is still incredible. I still believe he's one of the best passers in basketball. I still believe he's one of the best advantage creators in basketball. And these are things that are true even in a down year, which does really speak to his talent and the caliber of player that he is. But his efficiency has been awful this season, and there's really no way around it. He has career lows in field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, 2-point percentage, and is tied for his lowest true shooting percentage of his career, while also having career highs in field goal attempts and 2-point field goal attempts. And his poor games are a reflection of how valuable he is in a way because, again, like I mentioned earlier, he needs to play well for the Hawks to compete at the level they want to. Now, what I find interesting, though, is it's not about him being consistently bad. It's about him not consistently being good. Now, you might be wondering what difference does that make, because it doesn't seem like there's that much of a difference. Well, for me, the difference comes from how much hope I have for him turning this thing around. I'm worried about Trae Young regardless because he's been not good, to put it bluntly. And that's not just for his standards either. This is well below what I thought he would be going into this year. But I do have more hope because his numbers reflect more upon a player having super high highs and super low lows rather than a player having consistent lows. I would be more concerned if he was shooting 40% from the field every game than I am with what's actually going on. He has 12 games where he's shooting at least 40% from the field. He has 11 games where he's shooting below 40% from the field. And he's had some great games. 44 points with 16 free throw attempts, 42 points while shooting 5 for 10 from 3, 36 points and 12 assists on a 72 shooting percentage, 35 points and 7 assists on a 76.2 true shooting percentage, 35 points with 17 free throw attempts, 33 points and 12 assists on a 66.1 true shooting percentage, 30 points and 14 assists on a 52.2 field goal percentage. So he's had good games. Games that we have become accustomed to when it comes to Trae Young and how he plays game in and game out. But his bad games have been bad enough to drag down what those good games do for his production down to such an inefficient level overall for his standard. However, his bad games have been bad enough to drag down what those good games do for his production, and it's really astonishing to see some of these games. 14 points and 10 turnovers while shooting 23.1% from the field, a 7 for 24 from the field game, 9 for 25, and 9 for 26 from the field games. And every game he shot below 35% from 3. He's taken at least 4 3-pointers in each of those games, and he has 15 instances of this happening. His 3-point shooting is dragging down his efficiency significantly. For context, His 3-point shooting over those 15 games where he shoots below 35% from 3 is dragging down his overall shooting numbers by 10.2% over the course of those games. This is unacceptable for a player of Trae Young's caliber going into his 5th NBA season. But it does also speak to how good he is, where in a season that he's still putting up all-star numbers is a down year and rightfully viewed as a disappointment. Plus, all the drama about him and Nate McMillan isn't helping either. But on top of him still having games where he is that elite player we all know he can be, I look at the tape and I do believe that it reflects more on him having a bad start and being inconsistent rather than what he is as a player and what he will be moving forward. For me, I would be more concerned if he was just consistently shooting 40% from the field every game and didn't have the good games that he has had this season. And also, when I watch the tape, there aren't signs of regression in key areas. His handle is still one of the best in basketball. He's still an elite passer and is still a good enough scorer even if he's been inconsistent to make at an elite level. He still has all the tools that makes him one of the best playmakers of my lifetime and also one of the best advantage creators of his generation. And it was literally last season where he had the best season of his young career. He's only 24 years old and he just turned 24. And I do think people are overreacting a bit to this. I do think there is valid reason for concern without a doubt. But I also think some people are acting like this is a decline and this is a sign of things to come. And I just find it hard to believe that someone who's averaged almost 28 points per game and 10 assists per game over his last 4 NBA seasons, while also just turning 24 years old, is going to suddenly decline. I do think there are young guards who have been a lot better than Trae Young to start this season. And I do think I will become more concerned if Trae doesn't pick up his play. But this isn't the first time Trae has had a slow start. His rookie season was like this, but a better and more important example would be the year he led them to the conference finals. He was not good to start that season either. I'm not saying Trae will suddenly do what he did in that season. It's not a one-to-one comparison. But my point is, Trae has proven multiple times he can turn it around. And even with this version of Trae Young, he's still better than about 95% of the other young guards in basketball. And if this is the floor for how bad it can get for Trae Young, there aren't going to be many guards in basketball I take over him in general if he does turn this around.